G'day guys, Lemon Eating Cow here. So today marks the start of my series of guides on Dragon's Dogma, The Dark Arisen. Now this will be coming out on October the 3rd for Xbox One and PlayStation 4. It's already out on PC via Steam, and I believe the PC version is much the same as the console version, but the console versions will be slightly more optimized for these console releases. So with the guides, I decided to start right at the beginning with character creation. Now in a lot of games, your height and your weight of your character won't really affect all that much in game, but in Dragon's Dogma it can affect quite a few stats. The weight of your character is going to affect your stamina restoration speed, your stamina consumption, your climbing speed, your knockback resistance, and your maximum encumbrance. It will also make it easier to lift items or grapple with enemies if you're slightly larger, and it can even help you drag down flying enemies. Your character's weight is influenced by a few different factors. The main one just being weight, which is a slider that gives or take away fat to your character. The other one is height. Depending on your height, the taller your character, generally the heavier they're going to be able to be because you're going to be able to put more fat onto them. Also, musculature plays a role. It only adds a slight amount of weight, but generally the more muscular your character is, the heavier their weight is going to be. Also, for the women, bust size does affect your weight. It can add about 1 kilo or so to your character. So one thing I really want to get across before I go too much deeper into this guide is that at the end of the day, you have to enjoy your character and you have to look like the way they look. So if you're just going to look at the stats and you make a super tall, super fat dude with muscles out the ear, but that's not really what you like to play as, you're just doing it because of the stats, it's probably going to affect your gameplay more than having the smaller character that you want to play. So make sure you go with your heart and play the character that you want to play and worry about the stats a little bit later. It's also important to note that later on in the game you will get an item that lets you change your appearance. This is only limited use though, but towards the very end of the game you'll get an item that's unlimited uses, so you'll be able to fix your character then as you will. So really don't stress about it all that much, but if you want to min-max, then definitely this guide is for you. So if we have a look at this table provided by Dragon's Dogma Wiki, we can see that the weight classes are split into 5 major classes, SS being the smallest with LL being the largest. Each one of these are divided by a different weight bracket, so as long as you're within those weights or under or over those weights, then you will fall into that bracket. So the very smallest is the SS, and we can see that the stamina restoration there is 18 seconds, so they've got a very quick restoration, but their stamina consumption is 110% of the normal stamina consumption, so they will use their stamina a lot faster. Their climbing speed is very quick, their knockback resistance is very small, so they may not make the best tanks in the game or the best melee characters because of the stagger that they will be getting. Their maximum encumbrance is pretty low at 40 kilos, so if you're planning to make your pawn a very small character, you have to realize that they're probably not going to be able to carry much of your stuff. So the highest weight class is the LL class, and this is anything over 109 kilograms. And we can see here that their stamina restoration to go from an empty bar to a full bar is a full 34 seconds. And this is nearly double that of the SS class. However, their stamina consumption will only be 90% of the normal rate, so a full 20% less than the SS class. So it takes them a lot longer to get their stamina back, but to actually use it is it's going to take a lot longer as well. However, their climbing speed is very slow, so they don't make the best climbers, but their extra weight, if you latch onto flying enemies, is going to help drain the stamina of that enemy, and it's easier to pull them down to the ground. This is pretty visible when you fight harpies and you jump on them. You're going to be able to drag them down to the ground pretty quick. Their knockback resistance is very high, so if you're going to make a very tanky or melee character, then this is one to consider, because you're not going to be getting pushed around by those small enemies all that much. Their maximum encumbrance is 100 kilograms, so if you want to make a pack mule, or if you want to make a character that's going to carry a lot of gear and have a lot of heavy armor on their person, then this might be the one to consider. It is also worth noting that your weight will dictate your starting stamina pool. It's not going to be a huge difference, and by the end of the game it's really not going to matter all that much, but at the start, your initial starting rate, for your average weight class it'll be normal, but for anything under your average, so we've got the S and the SS, each of those will have minus 20 stamina. So for the S class you'll have minus 20 from the average, and then for the SS it'll be minus 40. And then again with the higher weight classes, the L and the LL, if you go to the L, you're going to get plus 20 stamina, and for the LL, you're going to get plus 40 stamina. Again, by the end of the game, you're going to have a large pool of stamina, so it's not going to affect you all that much, but it may be something to consider. So another factor that will affect your game is the height of your character. So generally, the shorter your character, the less body weight they're going to be able to carry, and the taller your character, the heavier body weight they're going to be able to obtain. So if you want to reach that LL weight class, generally you're going to have to be a tall character. So the height of your character also affects your walking and running speed. It won't affect your sprinting speed, but because of your longer legs, you're going to have a slightly faster walking and running speed. Also, because of your longer arms, you're going to have a slightly longer reach with your weapons. It's nothing game breaking or game changing, but it may be a factor that you might want to consider. So your height also affects one part of the game. In one part of the game, you go into an area with these various little goblin tunnels that are dug around the place. If your character is under 150 centimeters, you're actually able to walk into these goblin tunnels. It's not going to be a game-breaking thing, and there's not some amazing secret treasure in here. I think it just adds to the kind of role-playing fantasy or the real character involvement here. It is going to be a little bit of a special spice or a bit of flavor to the game, but again, it's nothing game-breaking, so I wouldn't recommend building your entire character around this one mechanic. Another thing that your height does influence is the drenched debuff. Now you get a drenched debuff when you go under a certain height of water, and the drenched debuff will actually make you take extra damage from lightning and ice spells. It will also put out your lantern if you are holding one, but fortunately this is pretty easy to get rid of. You can just run around a little bit, or you can stand next to a fire and you'll rid yourself of that drenched debuff. So if you're a shorter character, you're going to get wet in a lot more shallow water, but if you're a taller character, you can wade through this water without too much of a problem. So that about does it for the character creation guide. If you really want to know more about the vocations and what weight class suits them, I will be doing a series of guides on each of the job vocations, so you can get a bit more information in that. If you did like this guide, please leave a thumbs up. If you got any comments or suggestions, or there's any things that I have missed out from this guide, then please leave them in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed already, then please do so, because I'll be doing a lot more guides on Dragon's Dogma. I've had quite a bit of experience playing this game, so I feel I'm a little bit knowledgeable on the subject. So yeah, look out for a lot more guides and probably a playthrough on the channel as well. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching, and this has been Lemon Eating Cow. A moo.